Woo! What's going on, guys? Orange Form coming at you guys with another video, and it's been a while, but how's it going, everybody? Back a little bit, coming through with a video today before I go to work, and I just kind of want to get into this Jameson Williams information or news out there, or news, if you will, which I think is a non-story. It's not newsworthy, but something that I think needs to be talked about. I think the bashing needs to be talked about. We all know who Jameson Williams is, man. We drafted a couple years ago, 12th overall. Brad Holmes moved up to get him, number 12. Standout at Alabama. 2 years prior to that at Ohio State. Didn't get on the field much with guys like Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Wilson's with the Jets, Olave with New Orleans Saints. Had two great rookie seasons, and Jameson drafted first round. A year later, having that standout year at Alabama. I think it was over like 1,500 yards, bunch of touchdowns, bunch of catches, bunch of yards, big plays. Tore his ACL. I think it was his ACL in that national championship game versus Georgia. Probably would have won that game if he didn't go down. Got that turf monster and ripped his leg apart, and ever since then he hasn't done nothing in the NFL, and he's been scrutinized since day one as a Detroit Lion. I'm just going through history here, and I didn't write any notes for this. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. How I talked about, I wanted to take a little bit of a break, but May, June, July, it's pretty boring for football talk. It's just, you see all those guys, all those sports journalists, the Lions beat writers, they're trying to string along articles daily, and I give credit to those guys, because there's just nothing really to talk about, man. It's like kind of just rehashing the same stuff over and over again. Matchups, who's going to win this position. Sam Laporta going to tight end U. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be offensive rookie of the year. It's just, for me, it's a lot of just, and this is just on a personal level, it's just a lot of talk. Which is good, because you want NFL talk, you want Detroit Lions talk, but I can't talk about the same stuff over and over again. So you guys know how I'm going to do my channel from now on. I'm going to be taking breaks, especially in the summer until training camp comes. I will always talk about OTAs and mini camps and stuff like that, but I will take a break in between, like May, June, July. It's good. It just for the future, but I'm kind of veering off here. But with the Jameson Williams stuff, I think the bashing is ridiculous. This kid lately, well, let's talk about what he's done as a Detroit Lion, which is nothing. One catch for like 30-something yards, 40 yards, touchdown against the Vikings. He did not have another catch against the Packers, but it was called back. It was a touchdown as well. Really nice action, really nice play by him, but it was called back because of a penalty. Had a nice jet sweep for 40-something yards too as well. Just, you can see the explosiveness. You can see why they drafted him 12th overall. He's had some moments on the field where he looked like a diva, throwing his arms up, yelling back at Jared Goff. And then there was a talk with Goff having no chemistry with him during the training camp so far, earlier with those mini camps and OTAs. It just all stems back from being drafted. He didn't look happy. Blah, blah, blah. Fans noticing that he didn't look happy. He looked like he didn't want to be there. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's all a bunch of BS as well, too. And the social media stuff, liking a comment that Lamar Jackson was going to come to Detroit just by some random whoever wrote that. Just all talk, and he liked it, and he had to take it back. He had to explain himself. It's just silliness. What else, man? Him getting suspended 6 games for gambling, not on NFL games, but gambling in general on an NFL facility, on the road, in a hotel, is apparently an NFL facility, which is complete BS as well too. But rules are rules, and it's a bad rule, but it's a rule. So you have to abide by it, and you have to learn what the rules are instead of, asking later on if it's okay. What else? And then, he gets suspended. He goes the next day. He goes to Vegas, puts himself on Instagram, and look where I am. He was at a boxing match. and then and then and then and then the and then the last thing he did, well, I don't know if it was the last thing. Well, then he's out and he's in areas of Detroit, which which apparently some of those areas are really bad, a little dangerous. He's out there handing $100 bills. He's going to restaurants. He's putting himself out there. He's got he's all blinged up. He's got the jewelry. He's got the big wads of cash, and he's helping people out. He's feeding people. He's handing money out to kids to go get water. People saying that he's dangerous. He's not a smart kid. He's going to get himself hurt. He's trying to do good. He's trying to do good for his community, and the kid's still getting ripped apart. And then lately, 4th of July just passed, Independence Day, and this kid lights a firework, puts it on Instagram or whatever he did, Twitter or whatever it was. He's behind the fireworks, lighting it, and then runs away. And this kid gets ripped apart, and the fans rip him apart, saying that this kid needs help. This kid's going to be a bust. He's the next Charles Rogers. Then you got idiots like Mike Valente and Rico Beard on 97 won the ticket, and saying that this kid's not going to grow up. He shouldn't be lighting fireworks. So I don't understand. Like this isn't a JPP. Jason Pierre-Paul, if you guys know who that guy is, you guys remember him from the New York Giants, standout defensive end, who blew his hand off years ago. I think he lost 2-3 digits on his finger. He lost a couple digits, and 1 or 2 digits, whatever. And still played, but JMO's a wide receiver. He needs all those fingers. But people just say that he needs to grow up and not light fireworks. Like the firework thing, I don't even see how there's an issue. And then people bringing up how people get hurt and die from fireworks. What about the millions of people that don't get hurt and die? It does happen. Accidents happen. Like say this guy, he needs to be wrapped in bubble wrap. What's he supposed to do, man? He's a 20-something-year-old kid. He's lighting a firework, and he's doing it in the safest way possible. He's not running around with a lit M80 in his hand with a Coke straw hanging out of his mouth, hanging out of his mouth or his nose or whatever, and running around waving an M80. Like he was doing it in the safest way possible. What's this kid supposed to do? This kid's getting dragged through the mud for no reason. And I don't understand it. I get it. 12th overall pick, done squat, 6 games missed. So far it's been an absolute horrific start to his NFL career. Absolute horrific start. Probably never should have even played last year. There's a lot of people thinking he was going to come back week 4, week 5, and then it got extended a little bit more. Had to make sure he was for sure ready to go, and he did nothing. I think when did he come back? Week 7, 8? I forget when he came back last year, and did nothing. 1 catch, 1 carry, 2 drop balls, 9 targets. Was not part of the offense. Probably never should have been. And I'm not saying it was a mistake by the Detroit Lions, but you want to get him acclimated to the season. You want to get him you want to get him revved up to the NFL. You want to see how it is for him. He didn't look out of place. He didn't really look out of place, but he just wasn't part of the offense. And then season 2 comes around, and look what happens. He's already gone for 6 games. But every move this kid makes is under a microscope, and I don't think it's right. I've always been the type of guy that has always said, like, you always get that part of a fan base that will always be like, these fans are going to run this guy out of town. You constantly heard it about Matt Stafford. You heard it about Calvin Johnson. You heard it about plethora of Detroit Lions players, good ones. This fan base is going to run this guy out of town. I've always been the type of guy that has always not really agreed to that. I've been like, well, if a guy wants to leave, a guy wants to leave. If he's not happy here, he's not happy here. There's a lot of losing that goes on as a Detroit Lion, as a Detroit Lions player. That's just the way it is. Was JMO happy to come here? I don't have a clue. He says he is. Because he didn't smile in the picture doesn't mean he's not happy. But if he wants to leave, he wants to leave. But I believe that this fan base is I wrote it on a nice one to take on a Facebook page. I said this fan base and honestly, sometimes the media, they make me puke. They make me puke because they rip apart everything. You know, people say this kid needs to grow up, that he's a bust, that he's a loser, he's just an immature kid. He is a kid, you know, he's 21, 22 years old. Immature, okay. Point to one 20, 21, 22-year-old kid that's not really immature, and I'll give you $500. You know what I mean? It's like, he's not going out there. He's not gangbanging. He's not doing a bunch of drugs. He's not beating up women. He's not getting in bar fights. He's not drinking and driving. Like, it's just he's just being a kid. Like, he can't light a firework. Like, come on, man. Like, so should this guy not make sandwiches for himself because he has a knife in his hand? Should he not drive? You know, because driving could be dangerous on your hands. You don't want to get into a car accident, right? It's just ridiculous. But if this kid caught 60 balls last year and, you know, had like 600-700 yards or whatever, you know, because he came in late into the season, it would have been a whole different story. I think this whole thing is just based on production, and he's done nothing. I get it. We've seen the talent though in a very, very, very small window, but I think a lot of it is just ridiculous, and the media doesn't help. Mike Valente going on over an hour, maybe even longer, about how immature this kid is, and then Rico Beard comparing him to Charles Rogers. Charles Rogers' story's tragic. Like I don't even get the comparison. Why? Because, you know, Rogers came on pretty hot. When he was a rookie, he had a couple touchdowns, I believe his first game, you know, and then Williams comes, and then Jameson comes, and then he has that big touchdown against the Vikings, wide open, you know, and then, injuries, suspensions. Is that why he's doing the comparison? I just don't get the comparisons. The Rogers story is a tragic story. It's just a tragic story, and it gets tragic after he leaves the NFL, you know. And then rest in peace, Charles Rogers. He fought addictions his whole life. So if they're doing the football thing, okay, but I still don't buy it. But I don't like that comparison. But this all comes down to production, and I think the media is way off base here. I think they're way off base. I think the fans that are going after him are ridiculous, saying that this kid needs to get help. What do you mean what do you mean get help? He's not doing anything bad. That gambling thing was a real touchy subject, you know. On the road, in a hotel, that's an NFL facility. 6 games is a little much, but rules are rules, like I said earlier. And everything else, him not smiling, give me a break, going on social media, being in Vegas the next day, fireworks, liking a tweet, like, come on, man. And like I said earlier about, you know, fans driving players out, I believe, and like I said earlier, I've been that type of guy that I don't buy a fan's gonna drive you out, but this fan base is gonna drive this kid out of here. And if that happens. But it's just, we need to support this kid, man. I think this kid's gonna be a special player for us, you know. And ripping him apart for liking tweets and being a kid and lighting a firework in the safest way possible, by the way. That's on the ground. He's behind it, lights it, runs back. It just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up to me, man. I just want to see this kid perform. It sucks that we're going to miss him for 6 games, but I think the whole gist of it, the whole base of it is ridiculous on tearing him apart. I don't really get it. I think we need to get behind this guy. Get behind him, man, because now he's going to come to camp. They're going to ask him this stupid question. He's going to dance around it because that's the way he does. He's a very shy guy. He doesn't really like to talk about a lot of things. You saw the way they responded when they asked him about the tweet, about the Lamar Jackson tweet, Jared Goff. He just seems like he just doesn't want to talk about those type of stuff. They asked him about the gambling. He was like, he pretended he didn't know what the hell. Where he just pretended like he didn't know what was going on. And I'm sure he'll do the same thing. Like, if I was him, my mentality, I'd be ripping apart the media and the fans. That's just the way I would be. I wouldn't be professional about it, but that's just me because I'm not in the NFL. I'm not in the NFL, but I would wait for the question and I would just tear apart the media. Like, you guys got nothing else to friggin' do, but you're gonna go after me because I'm lighting a damn firework. You guys are all idiots. I would just basically say that, man. I'd basically rip apart Valente, rip apart anybody else that had a problem with me doing it. But that's just me, and I'm sure he's getting talked to by Brad Holmes, or probably, I think the main thing is the social media thing. He just can't do nothing. This kid can't take a shit without someone reporting it. He can't go to the bathroom. He can't do nothing. This kid can't do anything without someone being reported as some type of negative way. It's just, it's the oddest thing. And like I said, it all comes down to production, I think. This kid caught a bunch of balls and had a bunch of yards and had a bunch of touchdowns last year in that limited window. We wouldn't be talking about this. Excuse me, guys. I'm just coming down from, I had bronchitis. I still do got bronchitis, but I'm getting better. But yeah, man, there's just, I think we need to back off a little bit. I'm talking about this for almost 17 minutes now, probably way too long, but I just think it's ridiculous, man. This kid's going to be good for us. It sucks that we have to wait for this. We have him through training camp. We have him through preseason. He's going to take a little bit of a leave. He's going to come back week 4 or 5, be able to practice. And then I think he's back week 7 against the Raiders on the Monday night in Ford Field. So that's when we're going to see the debut of Jameson Williams. Not the debut, but the second debut. So I think it all comes down to production. But lay off the kid, man. He's not a bad kid. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. He's trying to do good. He's trying to have fun. Made a couple little minor mistakes. He's gotten hurt. It's happened, man. This kid's not doing bad things. Like I said, he's not beating up women. He's not getting in bar fights. He's not drinking and driving. He's not doing all kinds of illegal drugs. He obviously smokes weed. We know that because we saw the Instagram post of him blown out. But who cares? It's kind of I believe there's a limit now on that. They can do that. So he's not doing anything illegal. He's being a kid. Let him be a kid, man. It's if they need to talk to him about certain things, let it handle in house. Should he keep some things off social media? Sure, I guess so. Because if I was him, I wouldn't put anything on social media. But I guess that is a part of being, growing up. He's going through some things where everything he puts on there is going to be literally under a microscope. So maybe he does need to lay off that. But be a kid. He's just a kid having fun. He's got lots of millions of dollars, but he needs to produce now. But I just think, majority of this fan base are ripping him apart. You got guys on the ticket, on the radio, ripping him apart. I think it's unnecessary. I just think it's really stupid. I think it's weak journalism. You got the no fun police, guys like Mike Valente, who says, I don't get the backyard warrior that lights up fireworks. Of course you don't, Valente. You don't know how to have fun. You have completely admitted that in the past. You don't agree with celebrations of any type. You don't get parades. You don't get dinners on holiday. That's your whole shtick. I don't get. That's the word that behind Mike Valente. If you ever want to know, that's the one thing that I can always say about him is that he always will follow up with, I don't get it. Of course you don't, man, because you're just not a fun person. That's just what he is. He's not that type of guy. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get dinners. He doesn't get holidays. He doesn't get the parades. He doesn't get celebrations. I've been listening to this guy for over 15, 20 years or whatever. whatever it's been, he's been on the radio. That's been his shtick forever. So he doesn't get fun. He's not a fun person. Ask him. That's he will tell you. So of course he's going to say that. Of course he's going to rip them apart. But I think it's unjust. I think a lot of it's unjust, and it needs to be handled, kind of like, backed up a little bit. Back it off. Just he's going to be a good player for us. But been rambling on for 20 minutes about it. First video in a long time, guys. The videos are going to start coming a little bit more, hopefully. Waiting for training camp still. So, like I said, there's going to be lulls in my videos from like May, June, July. But now we're in July, so I'm going to start coming up with some more videos, maybe do some more podcasts. But I got some stuff coming up on the horizon. Can't wait for training camp. But thanks a lot, guys. Easy up on JMO. He's going to be a superstar for us. I believe he's going to be. I believe he's going to be a force in this offense. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the video. Thanks for coming out and watching me. Thanks for hanging in there still. So thanks, guys. One pride. Go Lions. Let's go, baby. Boom.